Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your questions and also to give you an update. I know it's late. I happen to be working late and I want to make sure that I can continue to connect with you. So, I'm here. Uh, Go ahead, put your questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions. But what I'm going to do quickly is just give you an update on what you should know about the work permits right now. So there is an automatic work permit extension that has been put in place permanently by the Biden administration, and this is set to go into effect on January 13, 2025. This is an important update because it was not permanent before. The Biden administration would announce an automatic extension of the work permit as a temporary way to fix the delays to the work permits. However, I believe just based on the issues that we expect to come next year due to the incoming administration, Biden is trying to put policies in place on a permanent basis that would at least buy immigrants time to maintain their work permits even after it expires while they apply to renew it. So it's important to note that this rule is going to apply to those who submitted their qualifying applications on or after May 4th, 2022. So if your work permit expired, um, your work permit that was issued, so I believe the receipt notice. Let me just check here. So I'm looking here. So you filed your renewal. So if you've timely filed your renewal, your work permit renewal, on or after May 4th, 2022, there is an automatic extension of 540 days from the date that your card expired. So that basically is a year and a half extension on your card. That is a very, very valuable relief and measure that the administration has put in place, because it means that if your work permit expires next year, you have an automatic 540-day extension. And the way where it is stated, it's stated in the in the receipt notice. So when you timely apply to renew your work permit, you're going to get a receipt notice, and the receipt notice is going to have that on that the receipt notice, there's going to be a note that says this also applies as an automatic renewal by 540 days. And usually you take the original to the employer, and then the employer examines it, and they are well aware, they should be informed. Sometimes we have had to help our clients, advocate for our clients to the employer to let them know that this does apply. It is a policy they have to accept. They have to accept it as proof of the work permit. So here's something that is very important for you to note. This automatic extension does not apply unless you timely file for that renewal. That means you apply for the renewal before it expires, right? Before your work permit expires. So don't think that, oh, that means that I don't need to apply for my work permit. Because remember, you're applying to renew your you may be going from a 2-year, but right now they're issuing 5-year work permits. So you would be applying for a 5-year work permit. But in the meantime, while you apply, you get an automatic extension. All right. So that is important to note. So please make sure you are timely filing your work permit renewal. And once you timely file, that means you file it before it expires. That means once you file it and you get your receipt notice, that 540-day extension applies. And this is permanent. This is not a temporary type of regulation. Keep in mind that the Trump administration can come in and they can change this, but it's going to take them time to do it because now it's gone into effect. It's official. It's a final rule that has been published, and it's going into effect before the Trump administration comes in on January 13th. And that means it's going to take months, a notice period, and then months to possibly withdraw it if they're going to withdraw it. We don't know. But just based on the behavior of the administration previously, it wouldn't be surprising if they do reverse it. But for now, let's hope not, and just know that it is a final rule. So keep that in mind. But make sure you proactively apply for that renewal. All right, so I'm going to quickly answer some questions. So put your questions in the comments, and I'll go ahead and answer the questions. Is this 5-year work permit only goes for US? Yes. So right now it's 5-year work permit in the US, and it applies to certain applications. Is it applicable for OPT EAD? No. So they explicitly state that it does not, because OPT is for 1 year after your studies, and so it's a strict timeline, so that it does not apply to OPT. Um, All right, T visa I-765 was filed on October 28th. Biometrics was added November 5th to the EAD application. How long to take to approve the process now? So the I-765, you can expect anywhere from 3 to 6 months. The EAD is issued after the bona fide determination, and the bona fide determinations are taking about 70 days. So I'd say 70 to 90 days. Can I file I-45 immediately after T visa approval? There's a process that you have to go by. So generally, the rule is you apply 3 years after maintaining your T visa status or your T status. However, if you're going to go and you want to apply for adjustment of status before the 3 years, there is a process that you have to go through. So, first, you have to ask permission to apply early, and you have to wait. There's a processing time, of course, for that, which can take anywhere from 6 months to 1 year for that processing time to get the permission. Once you get the permission, you get a special letter authorizing you to apply for the adjustment of status. Then you can move forward and file the adjustment of status. So if you want to file for, you can start working on your adjustment of status immediately after being approved, but it is not, you can't file the I-45. You can start the process. Do you think the new administration will reduce work permits from 5 years to 1 or 2 years? That's what happened the last time. They did reduce the years, and so that may happen again. We'll have to see. We can hope for the best, pray for the best, hope for the best. However, we also have to, based on my experience, I know that that was what happened the last time. But keep in mind that these are rules that they have to go through a notice period first before they start to issue those rules or start to exercise those rules. My I-45 was approved a week ago, but my wife has been on the issue of divorce for a while. What can I do when it's time for removal of conditions? Very good question. So you may you may qualify for a removal of conditions based on divorce, or maybe even based on mistreatment, just depending on the circumstances with your spouse, or extreme cruelty. And in the case that, yes, your card, you just got your card, but now you realize that your spouse is not going to be there for the 2 year removal of conditions, it means that once you file a waiver, you can apply for a waiver at any time. Before, even before the card expires, you can still apply for it. So this is where I say, make sure you approach this wisely. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to schedule a consultation with an attorney. We just got an approval for a client based on a similar situation, and she actually got a head start on getting her 10 year. She got a head start on getting her 10 year. So where people are waiting 4 years after their card expires, their green card expires, we got her card a year after it expired, because she started the process before her green card expired, because we knew based on the circumstances that she was in trouble. She was separated, and she could apply for this waiver. So definitely get in touch with us and let's talk. Can you still work with your work permit after I-130 was withdrawn, then file for VAWA? What I would say here is get in touch with us. It's urgent at this point, because if they withdrew it, they already have indicated to you that they've withdrawn the I-130, then it's just a matter of time before they deny the I-485 based on the withdrawn I-130. However, there is a chance that you can get that I-485 quickly switched over to your VAWA application. And when you do that, you preserve your I-485, you preserve your work permit, and that can continue while your VAWA continues. So get in touch with us. That's exactly what we do. T visa I-765 was filed on October 28th, and biometrics was added to November. Okay, so I answered that. Can someone eligible for T visa if employer doesn't give SSN tax in the W-2? So I would say this, it really is, whether you qualify for the T visa or status is really dependent on the facts, right? So I can't go tell you, oh, you qualify for the T visa based on your employer doesn't give you the SSN tax, right? And that's not enough information. And no, that alone would not qualify you. But usually, where something is going wrong, there's unlawful deductions, there's deceptive tactics to get certain money out of your paycheck while you work for them. That is definitely a red flag for the T visa. So call, schedule an appointment, and let's talk. Can Trump remove T visa and VAWA, or harder for both? Yes, it's hard for both. It is hard for both because it is a law in the books, approved by Congress. He would have to go back to Congress and he would have to tell Congress that he wants that the laws removed. But that's going to take time. And in the meantime, while the law is there and you qualify for it, you need to apply. Don't wait, because we don't know the changes that are coming. And if the law is going to change, you don't want to be, missing any kind of opportunities that you could have had. Um, yes, so I've gotten bona fide determinations approved so far. So far, we're noticing them, they're coming within 70 to 90 days. Uh, All right, if my spouse owes taxes but set up a plan to pay back, will that affect my case? No. So they're not necessarily looking at, are they paying their taxes? I mean, they look at if they file their taxes, right? And the payment plan, they're not going to get into so much detail about the payment plans. So that's not, the payment plan is not going to affect the case. I just gave marriage interview on 2nd of December. Officer said she needs to go through the documents. That's standard. So I'm wishing you all the best. Hopefully, you have a good result. Can I call to ask questions pertaining to T visa? Yes, 150, definitely, certainly. Our schedules are filling up fast. So please make sure you go ahead and schedule. We have two attorneys who are doing consultations so that we can qualify clients and get started. Right now, I'm on late because I am working on double time to get filings out. And so I decided when I looked at my last package for the night for outgoing applications, I decided I wanted to stop by and touch base with you. So that tells you we're busy. Our schedules are filling up. I'm working really hard to get these out. So please make sure that you get on our calendar because we want to help you. And we're setting up everything, putting everything in place to be able to help you. I have a deportation order, no work permit, paying taxes for 10 years, I-130 pending, anything to worry about? Yes. So um, I suspect that when the Trump administration comes in, they are going to be targeting immigrants who have passed immigration deportation orders. And pending I-130 does not, I don't know what kind of pending I-130, but that alone may not necessarily stop them from trying to execute the deportation order because they can still process an I-130 while you're out of the United States, and they're not taking into consideration. Now, you do have to go through a process, right? But the thing about it is why the Trump administration is going to target those with a deportation order is because you're already ordered deported. There's nothing else to do. So they can just execute the order. And that means that those immigrants are going to be the easiest targets for the start of their mass deportation um, project. So unfortunately, yes, if you have a past deportation order, uh, then yes, what is happening, and we only have a few weeks left, but what has been happening is, we are working to get some of those reopened and terminated, those deportation proceedings reopened and terminated. But time right now is closing in. So I would say, you can definitely get in touch with us to see if there are any potential uh, options for you. But I do suspect that that's going to be the case. They're going to target those with deportation orders. And they have, I believe Homan is the person who is spearheading the mass deportation operation. And he has stated that they're going to start I suspect they're going to start in certain cities, like they have talked about as Chicago. I've heard about Miami. So it seems like they're going to go for the cities first, just based on what they're saying. So we'll have to see, but I know that the immigrants that they're going to target first are those with criminal records and those with past deportation orders. Why is the USCIS visa bulletin still stuck at year 2017? Because it's just the wait list has gotten long, unfortunately. Any idea when Nigeria will start K1 visas again? No, I haven't heard anything about that. Is it a red flag if you and your spouse live in different states? Yes, it is. So that is definitely something you have to make sure you can explain to the officers. I came last year, August, with K1. I filed for AOS in October 24, but didn't do the medical. So make sure that as soon as they request, they're going to probably send a request for evidence for the medical. Can I still work with my work permit while it's getting fixed for gender error? No, if you sent it in, um, Now, if you showed your employer and the employer accepted it, then you went for a correction, then you sure, because the employer has accepted it, you're working under that valid work permit. It's just that you need it corrected. So under that circumstance, I'm pretty sure you'd be okay there. But keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. I can't give you legal advice. That's where it's very important to consult your attorney or schedule an individual consultation so we can talk. If my friend is waiting on her I-485 approval with VAWA, she didn't send a medical. Should she wait for? Yes. So once I suggest waiting, just because unless you have instructions on where to send it, you don't want to do the medical and send it and then it gets lost. So usually you wait until it gets to the place where they need it and they'll ask for it. Now, if you are filing your new applications, your new VAWA with your adjustment of status application, send the medical with it, because they're saying now they're going to start rejecting adjustment of status applications without the medical. I have a conditional card, but going through a divorce, can I still travel with no issue? You're a green card holder. So yes, as long as it's valid, you should be able to travel. But please make sure I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. As usual, I have to make sure I tell you that because I don't know all your facts. But make sure that all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed. Make sure your card is valid and not expired before leaving. And if you file for a renewal, make sure you have an extension letter with you showing your card has been extended. And that means you continue to be a green card holder. And so you can travel as usual, work, travel as a green card holder. If you come through the border seeking asylum, can you marry a military officer or police officer? So the military, if you came through the border, you weren't paroled, then you get married to a military member, then you can get parole in place. That allows you to then have admission into the form of permission to be in the country that allows you to get adjustment of status. If you're married for 3 years or a green card holder, but he refuses to help you, what can you do? Give us a call because it sounds like there's some mistreatment there. We just have to get to the bottom of this to be sure. And you can apply for VAWA, which can offer you protection and is confidential. I'm doing a T case. How long is approval? Will they give work permit while case is pending? Right now, the policy is allowing for work permits while it's pending through the bona fide determination letter, a total processing time of 12 months to 18 months. Um, all right, on Instagram, I'm going to go through quickly and then we'll call it a night. I'll see you tomorrow. Is it applicable? To answer that. Can you file a green card if you're on H-2B? Not automatically. You'd have to qualify through an employer or qualify through a family member, spouse, or you have to look through to see what you qualify for. Being an H-2B worker alone is not going to qualify you for the green card. What comes after USCIS received and is received in documents you sent related to your case? You get a receipt notice and then the biometrics, and depending on the case type, you may get a decision or a bona fide determination letter or a prima facie letter, just depending on the case type. USCIS has received and is reviewing the documents you sent related to your case after 2 years, 3 months of filing for VAWA. So right now I'm seeing processing times of 2.5 years to 3 years just for the VAWA. So it's not out of the ordinary for them to still be reviewing it. Persons who overstay their visa, will they be targeted? Yes, yes. So those who overstayed. So I do notice that some people think that they overstayed, but that doesn't make them undocumented. And that they are undocumented. People who overstay their visas no longer have legal status and are undocumented, which means that you face a risk of deportation, just like those who may have crossed the border. What comes after USCIS has received and is okay, so answer that. This document sent in 2022, I got work permit, but now is 2024. What should I do? So it depends. Wait for a decision. Or if you're worried about something in your application, that's where it's time to talk to an attorney. But if your work permit is about to expire, your application is still pending, you have to apply for a renewal before your work permit expires. Can a green card holder file for their 21-year-old child? How long is the process? Yes, 5 to 7 years though. How long does VAWA, and if they're in the country without their papers, it's not going to work for them. It's going to be 5 to 7 years and they still have to go back to their country. But if they go back to their country, they're going to be barred for 10 years. So this is where I say, get in touch with us. Let's talk about your options here, because there may be alternative options. How long does VAWA take? So you get the work permit in 6 to 12 months, and the work permit right now is 5 years. Then you get the decision in about 2.5 years, and then the green card comes after that. Um, After filing VAWA, can I use asylum work permit? Yes. Yeah, you can use it. If I marry and put in my papers next week, what's the wait time for approval? I live in Alabama. So the wait time is usually anywhere from, I'm seeing 10 to 12 months. We have to see what this administration does, the changes they make that might extend the processing times. I'm hoping not, but we have to be prepared for that. U visa bona fide determination process time after biometrics, a year and a half to 2 years. I live in Alabama. I want to get married and put in my papers. How long do you think the process would take? So could take 10 to 12 months, but now if they're doing interviews again and increased fraud detection policies and processes, we might see go longer again. Um, does the automatic work permit renewal apply to those with the H-2B visa? No, because you have the visa, you don't have a work permit. So it would not apply. My wife's go for F1 visa and I will be F2. I understand I can't work with it. Can F2 status be changed to any status to enable me to work? Yeah, if you qualify to change to another status, yes. Can I appeal for my EAD if denied after the 150 days? Um, so it just depends. I don't know if it's worth appealing or just reapplying, but it just depends on why did they deny it. Uh, I apply for my Canada visa for me and the kids. I don't do Canadian immigration law. How soon can I reapply? I'm not sure it depends on the application. Um, if you've been in the country for over 5 years as J1 student, what route is best to go? There's no direct path to any permanent residence. You'd still have to apply for some form of change of status. If you've been in the country for over 5 years, um, did you overstay? Because that's also a question here. Very rarely do I see anybody on a J1 stay for so many years. Does the automatic work permit renewal apply to those with H-2B? No. Can a green card holder for a 21-year-old file for a 21-year-old? Yes, but it's not going to be the solution here to a fast option, and they're not going to be allowed to to change status here? Can Trump do, if they overstayed, can Trump do harder on VAWA and T visa? So the way that they're going to look at the applications, their approach is going to be different. And that is not anything new. With every administration, they tend to you start to see a pattern where they process applications differently. And so I would say yes, based on my previous experience under the Trump administration, I know that I have a little knowledge about how they look at the applications, what they look for, what they're sensitive to, and I suspect that's going to be coming back, of course. So yes, the way they look at applications, the way they process applications will be different. And that is going to make it harder. They may have more questions. They may have more fraud detection processes that they're going through that make the processing times longer. That's what they did the last time. In IR5 category, how long to get an interview after submitting docs to the NVC? A year and a half. So unfortunately, yes, it is long right now. Can I find EB3 unskilled work in South Carolina? You can find it anywhere because it just means that it's not you don't have to have necessarily have a certain skill set or education. So you can find that work anywhere. It's can you find the employer? That's where the employer has to sponsor you for that. How long after notice will you receive a biometrics date? I would say about 2 months after. We've been getting 6 months to 2 months after. If I came through the border but don't have court proceedings, will the deportation affect me? Yes. So that, those who came across the border are also going to be targeted. Even if you are processed at the border, but if you don't have a court date and they just allowed you to come in, but they didn't parole you in, I also suspect that those group of immigrants will be an easy target for fast fast deportations. No, but keep in mind, here's what I want to remind you is that we have processes in place. So even though if you came through the border, you didn't have a court proceeding, what you may see now is you may see that you have a date to go to court because they still have to go through proceedings. They can't except for those who have removal orders already, who have no other issues pending, no other appeals, no other processes pending, yes, they can just execute the deportation order because that was the last thing in place. You had to be removed, so they're going to remove you. They don't owe another proceeding. However, if you haven't gone through any kind of proceedings, they may initiate those proceedings. So you'd have to go through that. So you would still have an opportunity to present defenses to be able to stay in the US, to ask for relief. So keep that in mind. That no, also it's best to seek your options before you even get any dates to go to court because that is stressful. And if you don't qualify for anything, or you don't present your options that you qualify for, you don't show the USCIS, you don't show ICE that you do qualify for something, you're more as vulnerable to be deported, very quickly after they issue a deportation order. So what I'm saying is make sure you evaluate your options to see if there's anything you can apply for now before it even gets to court. I still haven't received a biometrics after 2 months, even though after I applied for work permit, I didn't get an appointment. Sometimes that can happen. It just depends. Make sure they haven't lost your biometrics notice in the mail. Have a deferred action approved by my daughter serving in the military. Can I request for AP? Advance parole, no. So deferred action does not allow you to get advance parole. Once you leave the country, you lose deferred action. If my friend is waiting on her I-485 approval VAWA, she didn't send a medical. Should she wait? Usually we wait for the request. We don't want it to get lost. But if you are filing for the first time, make sure you file your medical. Can Trump remove VAWA and T visa? On day one, no. He would have to work with Congress to get that done, and we would know. We would know what's happening. I'm pretty sure there would be a fervent resistance to that because these are long-standing laws on the books. But and even if he did succeed and Congress did repeal the laws, it would not be for months. And we would have a date, and then what everybody would have to do is apply for this before it is repealed. Um, all right. I am going to head out. Let me just answer. Can Trump do harder on the? So I answered that. Can Trump remove VAWA T? So I answered that. Is it a serious crime to work without a permit, even though you're married to a U.S. citizen? Great question here. And I want you to know that if you have been here working and you're married to a US citizen and then you apply for adjustment of status, it's working without a permit is not held against you. It's not even a crime. So a lot of people end up getting themselves into trouble because they lie on their application that they haven't worked when it would have never been held against them in the first place. So I want you to have that. So as I heard from I believe it was a client, a wise person told me, knowing is power, right? Knowing is power. And so I'm telling you here that that's not even a crime. Working without a permit, if you're married to a US citizen and you're applying for adjustment of status, that's not going to cause you to be denied and you can't be arrested for that. Can Trump remove birthright citizenship? No. I know he's going to try. He said he's had his executive order ready, and I do anticipate this is going to go through litigation. It's going to go through the Supreme Court. Probably, who knows, depending on the twist they put on this. But it's pretty straightforward. The 14th Amendment states anybody who's born in the United States is a US citizen. But what I'm going to say here is that we may start seeing delays in processes like issuance of passports and issuance of certain documents proving citizenship to babies who are born to undocumented immigrants. So in that case, make sure that you jump on it. If you have children who are born here, but you may not have your papers yourself, get your children's passport. Get your passport. If you're a US citizen, naturalized US citizen, get your passport now. Don't wait. If your children have become citizens because you automatically become citizens because you became a citizen through naturalization, get their passports as well because they're citizens. So please make sure you jump on that. That should be on your to-do list for the new year because we're already almost to the end of the year. If you can apply for it now, and then hopefully it will get to you by the new year. Can conditional green card be removed if you cheat and have a child outside the marriage? If it indicates that the marriage was fraud and not real, then yes, but cheating isn't going to get that card taken away from you. But if the spouse then starts to say you cheated on them, or starts to, and that isn't gonna disqualify you, but saying the marriage wasn't real could affect you. So they won't give me my work permit if I don't get biometrics appointment. In most cases, they usually issue after the biometrics. I have seen cases where they've issued it before, but that is not very common. Any procedure in place for immigrants that had a US born child? they're going to start. Trump has said on day one he's going to issue an executive order, and it's at that point that they may start to try to implement this. Of course, lawsuits are going to follow very quickly and may put a hold on the executive order. So we may see that, but what may happen is they may halt certain processes that involve US born children of immigrants. So you want to make sure in that case you take action. What if my US citizen spouse is in jail? Can I go for the interview alone? So that can be tricky. I sometimes they do delay it, advisable to delay it until that person can be out of jail, or to see if they can accommodate an interview with the spouse. So it depends. It depends on the circumstances, but I would not advise going to the interview alone. You'd have to make sure you prepare the officers or the officer for the circumstance, and then either delay it until they're out of jail, or see if any accommodations can be made. What about those with valid work permit and pending VAWA? Yeah, if you have a pending VAWA, you're protected. That's why I'm saying make sure you look about your options now. All right, I'm going to call it a night so I can get some sleep, to get up, get these filings out the door. The team and I are working double time to get these things done. So still call, schedule your appointment so we can talk about your individual options, and so that we can get started and get your case filed ASAP should you qualify for relief. Okay, that's the best thing you can do now to put yourself in a good position for success in 2025. You're very welcome, Lando. Thank you, and thank you. Thanks for spending the time with me so late in the night. I appreciate it. And I'm going to work to be back tomorrow, hopefully not so late, so we can catch up. But follow me, like, subscribe, so that you see when I'm live. And when I'm live, you can jump on with me, and I can answer questions. And then if I have any updates, I'll let you know as well. Thank you. Have a good night.